global average temperature in 2023 was the highest, and furthermore, the annual average temperature in the world continues to rise. Of course, the annual average temperature in Kagoshima continues to rise as well. Today, we are going to focus on Sustainable Development Goal number 13. Climate action, which seeks to take concrete measures against climate change. According to data from the Fire and Disaster Management Agency, the number of people transported by emergency due to heat stroke per 100,000 population in Kagoshima is the largest in Japan. If the temperature continues to rise, this number will definitely keep growing. Moreover, the number of deaths because of heat stroke is bound to increase.
A prominent example of a temperature rise due to global warming is the rise in seawater temperature. For example, the seawater temperature in the seas around Kagoshima Prefecture, where we live, has risen by 1 degree Celsius in 100 years. From a biological point of view, this is an environmental change sufficient to disturb the ecosystem. This represents a change in the catch of machi. Machi is a general term for several tropical fish which can be caught in Kagoshima and Okinawa. Clearly, the catch is tropical fish are especially sensitive to temperature changes. We have only given one example, but you can see how serious the situation is. Consider why seawater temperatures are rising in the first place. One of the main reasons for rising seawater temperatures is that the heat in the seawater does not escape into the air. This causes the heat to stay in the seawater, and the seawater temperature rises. So why does heat in seawater not escape into the air? One factor is the increased heat content of the air itself. Human activity, particularly urbanization and the heat island effect, are deeply involved. Heat emitted from cities warms the air. Then, if heat emissions from cities were eliminated, one of the main factors in the problem of rising seawater temperatures could be eliminated. By reducing heat emissions, the heat content of the air would be reduced and heat would transfer smoothly from seawater into the air. So the heat in the air is released directly into space. We believe that one of the major factors in global warming can thus be eliminated.
Human activities are a major cause of this. For example, automobiles and thermal power generation generate a lot of carbon dioxide like this. Furthermore, deforestation is also a contributing factor because forests reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. In other words, the more affluent human life becomes, the more greenhouse gases there will be in the atmosphere.
What can be done to reduce the heat island effect? There are limits to what we can do as individuals, so now let's think about what we can do as a collective. When people get together, they can afford labor and financial resources and can carry out various activities. For example, green activities. This could be planting trees in desertified areas or removing asphalt from paved roads to protect organisms in the soil. Secondly, you could switch to environmentally friendly ways of generating electricity. These are renewable energy sources such as wind and solar power. Those who find it difficult to take action on their own could donate money to environmental action groups. Individual donations may be small, but when collected together, they can add up to a large sum and support large-scale activities. The most direct way to take action is to form an environmental political party and intervene in politics, as in Germany. If you can create legislation and get the government to act, you can put yourself into environmental protection on a national level. What must pass when tackling environmental issues? It is politics. Laws, budgets, development policies, there is a wide range of things that politics is involved in. But if we can get politics to work, we can tackle environmental problems on a national level. So how can we get politics to work? First, let's review some simple administrative structures. First, the people raise their voice. The people's voice is sent to Parliament. Then, once the Parliament has debated and voted, bills and budgets are put into effect in their proper place. However, the people's voice does not go directly to Parliament. Someone is needed to receive the voice of the people. This will be politicians and political parties. Now that you understand the importance of politics, how do we get it to work and reflect our voice? Let's start our study with an interview with Professor Emeritus Kazuomi Hirai of Kagoshima University, an expert in Japanese politics.
Well, first of all, we need to create rules that regulate the various corporate activities that place a burden on the environment and our everyday actions. In other words, it is the political arena that creates rules and imposes regulations. On the other hand, as with pollution issues, it is often the case that society only becomes aware of a problem once actual damage has occurred. Ultimately, it is the political arena that listens to such voices and takes measures. There is the issue of whether such voices can be listened to, and there is also the issue of responsibility for the actual damage that has been caused. It is also politics that takes that responsibility. Also, before decisions are made in the political arena, it is difficult to continue or improve a policy unless we understand why and for what reasons a certain policy is being adopted. Politics is important, but the current situation is that it is difficult to understand the extent to which the policy-making process is visualized. This is not limited to Japan. I think that by making such points visible, we will be able to create better policies. This is a future challenge. In Japan, education that teaches by teaching is still strong, so we need to increase education that encourages discussion. We need education that raises awareness of problems through discussion. Assembly in your area and observe what kind of discussions are taking place. Or listen to a talk by an organization that is involved in environmental activities. Or observe a trial on environmental issues. Japan is a democratic country, so if you take the time to go and visit, you can see and hear a lot of things. Why not start with something like this? Because environmental issues are so close to us, I want each of us to think carefully about them. At the same time, environmental issues are so large-scale that we tend to think that no matter what we do, it will be impossible, but there is no need to give up or become complacent. Think persistently. Or take action, even if just a little. I believe that is the only way to solve the problem. Don't give up or become complacent. I want people to start thinking about what they can do. And I would like to do the same.